Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to the Graveyard Ship of Mr. J. I have a really cool guest with me tonight. Her name is Tempest Crane, I believe. I'm saying that right?
Yeah, you're saying that right.
All right, welcome to the show. Now, introduce yourself to everyone.
Thank you. Well, I'm Tempest. I play bass guitar for a band called Apocalypse Theater and another band called Harsh Reality. Previously with All the Pretty Horses, been playing music for about 35 years, all around the U.S., Spain, Amsterdam, New Zealand, UK, and here I am talking to you.
Cool. So, before the show, you told me a lot about Kiss. That it inspired you when you were as young as 6, I believe. And
That was
where do you think you would be without, I guess, Kiss? Do you think you'll still be getting into music, or do you think it's like if you did get into music, would it still be the same music that you make today?
um, no, I don't think it would. I mean, Kiss was earlier. My mother belonged to a record club, and this is way back in the 1970s. And this is back when you would get a card and have the album of the month on it. And if you didn't send back the card, you would get automatically shipped and charged for that album. Well, my mom forgot to send in that card that time, and the album came, and it was Kiss Destroyer. I was 6 years old. I didn't know what rock and roll even was. I had no exposure to it. I lived on a farm in Nebraska. And this album came in, and I took a look at it, and I knew one thing when I looked at it. Kiss looked like superhero. I made my mom keep that. Fell in love with it. I wanted to be Gene Simmons. Um, Little did I know that, 20 years later, I'd be working as Gene Simmons. Formed the stage thing. I grew up listening to Johnny Cash and Black Sabbath and Blondie, all sorts of different things, Adamant, anything that had a flamboyant style to it.
Okay.
Because rock and roll to me was always larger than life. You didn't want to be, you didn't want to go see a show if they're just wearing flannel and staring at their shoes. That was boring, and singing sad songs. That was out of this world. You wanted aliens landing on smoke and fire, creatures of the night spitting blood, viper. Um, and you wanted something that would be a show, and you could go back and you would see this show, and you and your friends would talk about it for days coming up, weeks after. Did you see what they did? Because it'd be such a formative moment for you, and that's what rock and roll always was to me. It was more than just the theatrics of it and the showmanship of it.
Okay. Wow. See, I guess everybody's path is, usually different towards, creativity because like I'm personally my true passion is writing. I love making, writing movies and scripts like that. And if it weren't for like people like Quentin Tarantino or, I guess Christopher Nolan, he came in late with me, but it taught me about a real lesson about psychological thrillers. And there's these artists, that I admire, and it's just like, I see them impact people and wow people with just stories, and it's just it makes me want to do the same thing, and it makes me want to get up and get a crew together and create something beautiful. And it's so cool that you spent 35 of your years of your life doing just that. And that's one of the many reasons why I wanted you up here, because I want to say that I admire you. I mean, you may be an inspiration to people for many other reasons, but for me,
Well, that
it's
there was
just
a
that you
great
got up
quote.
and got out there.
There was a great quote by a country western singer. His name is Ray Wiley Hubbard,
Hmm.
and he said, there was one thing. People would come up to him and say, how do you get to be what you are? How do you get to, you've done this for 30 years or 35 years or something. How do you stick with it that long? And he said, well, there's one key to that. Don't learn how to do anything else. Don't go to college. Don't go to school. Just learn how to play music. And if that's all you know how to do, you're going to get pretty good at it. Otherwise, you're going to start
Yeah.
just kind of joking, of course, and everything. And even as a musician and things like that, I've gone to college and everything, but I research things. I look at everything that everybody's doing because everybody has something that you can learn from. Even if you may not like that particular style of music or that style of show or something, if you can take one thing from what they're doing that you like, oh, well, I really like that. That's kind of cool what they're doing with that, and always steal from the best.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah,
can
it's funny
incorporate
because
that
I
into
heard
what
that
you do.
recently.
I don't think there's anything new under the sun anymore. Just different interpretations of how to do different things, and everybody expands and builds on everything. But that's how creativity works.
Yeah.
You
But
get inspired by something.
may I ask you a question? One artist to another. How do you make something new? Because like I recently I thought I came up with an original idea for a script, but if it weren't for like noir films or like, the classic black and white, he is looking at you, kid. you know,
Yeah,
if it weren't for those, I wouldn't have been inspired to make the film that, my one of my first films that I want to produce and put out there. But like,
creativity doesn't exist in a vacuum. You
okay.
can't be creative in a vacuum because you're basically you'd be sitting in a dark room with nothing around you, and it's hard to get any ideas. Ideas come from our experience in life. You know,
So like
wisdom comes from all of
like,
our mistakes.
okay, so the first songwriter, the first bookmaker, it was just like, hey, I experienced this, and you know what? I feel
Exactly,
like
and
people
they
might want to
extrapolate
know
on
my
that.
story, and maybe I exaggerated a little bit, just to, to bring the story across in a different way, or exaggerate it to hide, who it actually is about, because I might say it's Tim, but my name is actually Evan,
And you use your imagination. The things
Yeah.
like the solar eclipse being a dragon eating the sun and things like that. That's
Mm,
somebody's imagination going wild with that. Then somebody takes that idea and goes even further with it. And that's how it all works.
okay. I
You
appreciate
know,
that.
you can't be inspired, sitting in a room all by yourself with, four white walls and, a light bulb. That's not going to do anything to you. You have to get out in the world. You have to live. I encourage everybody to travel as much as possible. Get to meet different people. Go to different places, different countries if you can.
Okay.
Um, and believe it or not, even though I do rock and roll and I'm very flamboyant and things like that on stage, I did all that because I'm incredibly shy.
Mm.
And I,
Oh
and
my
I,
gosh.
I
Ladies and gentlemen, before she continues, I want to tell all of you this woman's performances. I've only seen pictures and there's sparks flying from her bass. Like I'm talking about, it looks like the 4th of fucking July on her guitar. And like she's just like, "Oh, I'm shy." I'm just like, "Wow." I mean, you kind of have to be shy to kind of bring something like with that much pizzazz out, because usually the most shyest people in the world have like, "Oh, I'm sorry, the weed got to me. Oh no, oh fuck, I'm sorry. That's not professional." But shit.
oh, maybe that is Pearl. I don't know.
But just you put on an amazing show, but like I said, like shy people have a lot to express because they don't say anything.
Well, that's the expression of everything. And, you know, um, D. Snyder of Twisted Sister
Okay.
also said that he was incredibly shy about things. And the way he solved it, and the way it's just a similar way that I approached it, is because I had a hard time coming up and talking to people or interacting with people. I became the most interesting person in the room. Then
Of
they'd come up and
course.
talk to me. Otherwise, I'd be sitting in a dark corner somewhere and not talking to anybody because I was too shy to make eye contact or anything. But if you're the really interesting one, if you're wearing fox pelts on your shoulder and you got chains draped off you and 5-inch stiletto heels or something, people will go, well, what the hell is going on there? And they'll come up and talk to you. So you
Especially
don't
if you're
have to
not
worry
saying a
about it.
word, because it's just like you're peacocking, but the peacock doesn't say a word.
Yeah, kind of. So that's the way it worked for me was just to try to be somebody that people want to come up and get to
Okay,
know.
so you were your own conversational piece.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool
I,
though.
I wanted to be something larger than life. Because I wanted to be able to inspire other people to dream and to do different things. You spoke about the sparks flying off my bass guitar. Well, that's
Yes.
done with an angle grinder and a steel plate that I mount on my bass guitar. I
Ooh.
get more applause off that because it's incredibly visual than anything I play all night. I'm a very accomplished player, um,
No, I could
but
actually listen to your
I can take
music
a power tool
and enjoy myself
and
though. I
I can
want
take
you
a
to know
power
that.
tool and apply it to my guitar and make sparks
Hmm.
fly and get a huge amount of applause. That takes zero skill whatsoever. I'm just pushing a button on a power tool,
Yeah,
but it
exactly.
makes a visual impact. What I got that from was back when I played with all the pretty horses. We had a dancer called Shannon Blowtorch, and she would do it. She had this metal underwear that was welded up by one of our friends had made it,
This sounds
and she would strap
dangerous.
those on, and she would take the angle grinder and use it on her crotch, and sparks would go everywhere. Well,
That's terrifying.
we were talking about inspiration. So I got inspired by her to mount the metal plate on my bass guitar, and then I'd put the bass guitar between my legs and use the grinder on it. Similar effect. Well, Shannon Blowtorch got that from a burlesque performer out in New York City called that was named Betty Blowtorch, that would
Ah,
use that similar technique, and she was performed at different carnival events and burlesque events and things like that. And so once again, it's
you still
took it
from the
off
best.
exactly.
Wow.
And so it's kind of made its rounds.
All right, that's
And
cool that you
it's
keep
a
it alive though, because I wouldn't consider it stealing. You're just keeping that, tradition. That move is like a signature move, like of a wrestler, if you will. And like,
it is very much like that. And it's in a way tribute to the person that
yes,
inspired you, because you're keeping that alive. And that's what I do it as. It's tribute to the people that inspired me to get into rock and roll and to put on the theatrical stage show. When I was in All the Pretty Horses, Venus de Mars, the singer songwriter of that band, was a huge inspiration to me in many many ways. Um, and basically, she was doing what I envisioned myself doing for a long, long time, but she was actually doing it. And I got the chance to audition for her band. And they sent me a CD and said, "Can you learn 3 songs off this CD?"
okay,
And I had like 5 days to learn 3 songs. So I took the CD and I worked on it, and I worked on it, and I worked on it. And I showed up for the audition, and she goes, did you manage to learn 3 songs? Because we've been having some trouble. People come in and they don't even know one song. I mean, if you can play one or two, that would be fine. And I said, this CD and this list here you gave me, that's a set list, isn't it? Because I had played in different bands and things like that long before. And she goes, well, yeah, that's our current set list. I said, oh, okay. Well, I learned all of them. And she goes,
okay.
what? I said, all of them.
Wow.
And she goes, you learned all the songs. I see, yeah, except for these two on here. You didn't put those on the CD, so I have no idea what they sound like, so I haven't learned those. And she goes, okay, so can you do this first song? We ran through the first song, played it through, not a problem. Well, how about the next song? Sure. After 6 songs, she's like, you did learn all these songs. And yeah, I want to be in the damn band. So
Wow.
um, but I mean, I lived and breathed that. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I would run through the songs before I had to run out the door and go to work. I worked an IT job, um, and I'd run through the songs. And as soon as I came home, I would start working on the songs at night. Sometimes I even came home for lunch during the day, and I'd put in the CD and I'd try to play through them as much as I could before I had to go
Wow.
back to work, because I wanted that spot. It
That's
was going to be
dedication.
mine, or I was going to die trying, one or the other.
That's what's up, though. That's the mentality you have to have. So, may I ask you something?
Certainly.
All right. So, you're I wouldn't say, because I know some people, excuse me, want to be, humble, and I take you as a very humble person. And I wouldn't say like, hey, taking your success, and you're just like, oh, I'm not successful. All right, but coming out compared to people who never left the garage, if you will, and your success, how do you humble yourself and allow yourself to not have a big head? Because I'm a guy with a decent sized ego, and it's just like I want to humble myself and maybe you might give me some insight of on doing so.
Well, there's nothing that I've done that anybody else couldn't do.
Okay.
It just takes dedication. You don't find reasonable people on the tops of mountains. If you
Hmm.
want to be on the top of a mountain, it takes a whole lot of dedication to get up there, and you also have to be a little bit crazy. Fortunately, I was a lot crazy, and I had a whole lot of dedication, and so that's what I did. But anybody can do that. And anybody can come up and take your position at any particular time. It happens over and over again in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
One moment you're the hot item. Um, Back in 2008, we did over 200 shows that year.
Yeah.
Um, this last year, I think I did two because of COVID.
I mean, yeah, but
So
but you and almost everybody else. I mean, people have gotten through leeway because they paid people and for restrictions to be because honestly the whole system is just money. So I bet you if you paid someone off enough money, you wouldn't have an issue with a venue. But like for the sake of certain things, I guess like certain artists, big or small, had issues during the whole COVID thing, and it's just that it's amazing seeing you rise like the phoenix you are, and you know,
there's one key in that, and that is simply never giving up.
okay,
Don't quit.
don't quit.
Um,
Keep that in mind.
everything is possible as long as you don't give up. The only time you ever fail is when you actually give up and walk away from the table.
Oh
Then
yeah,
you're
you're
done.
your own enemy. You're your
If you
own
don't
worst
quit, if you
enemy.
don't give up, the game isn't over, and you can always have a chance of succeeding as long as you stay in the game, as long as you keep trying. The moment you stop trying, the game's over. You're done. The one thing my mother never taught me how to do was to give up or quit.
But you learn that on your own, obviously. There's always some things we learn on our own, and that's one of the things you've mastered. I mean, to my perspective, you seem to master it. I mean, no one really truly does, but as far as you came from and as far as you're going, you're attempting to master it, I should say.
I do the best I can.
Yeah.
And I try to learn from all my mistakes. That's where wisdom comes from. You know,
Yes.
you learn more from when you fuck up,
Yeah.
when you make a mistake, when you do something wrong. You learn more from that than you ever will from success. Because when you succeed, you don't know exactly what it was that made it go right. You just go, oh, well, I guess that just worked.
Yeah.
But when you fail, you know damn well what you did wrong, and you can learn from it.
But
You know,
see,
and
that's where I feel like I fall short because sometimes I get lucky. I'm just a lucky son of a bitch, and I mean, I'm waiting for my luck to run up one day. But this like podcasting is it's not like my what is it my passion, if you will. Like it's just something to connect me to like people like you or just regular ordinary people. It's not like I have to interview the best and most interesting person. Like you could be off the streets and homeless, and it's just like I want you to share your story to me with me. But like with you, it was just like you seemed so inspiring, and I saw your posts on Facebook, and I saw a lot, and I was just like, this is who I want to interview because I knew that you had I mean a decent mindset compared to some people that have. I wouldn't say I hate talking down on people. That's one thing I don't love. That have barely left their garage, but they talk so much shit, and they talk down on other people like like they made it, and it's just like, dude, there are people who have made it and they don't even do that, and it's just like I don't know. It's just
well,
weird. I guess it's a generational thing, but also it's a cockiness thing. It's about riding your own dick or clit. Like you can't really do that too much.
well, that's true. I mean, um, people that don't know talk a lot.
Yeah.
People that know don't need to talk about it. That's a wisdom.
That's why I did this, to influence people like you to, get me to talk to them because, talking on the phone and, having a conversation with them, like, because I would love to chat it on you, chat it on you. I don't know how to chat on someone, but chatted with you on the phone and you just, share whatever. But it makes me look better for you to talk to me if it's just like, hey, I have something going on. And it's just like, cool, you get to promote, whatever you're doing. But also, I have something creative that I'm doing too, but my true inspiration for this is just late night radios. When you're just driving home, and I like to mention her. I like to shout out to Delilah if she ever listens. Like it's just like what's going on in your mind. Relationships. Problems. Or just a general like, man, I'm constipated. Life is hard. And it's just like I care
That
about
that would
you.
make life hard, particularly if that's your regular state. I wouldn't want to be that person. So
Exactly. So I want to hear about you and what you struggle through. And so I know how to not be as constipated as you. And so my audience knows how to not be too. But in all seriousness, is that aspect is why I'm doing this. Is because everybody's important, big or small. You have something to say, and I felt like you had something to say.
well, I hope I have something to say.
You
Maybe if
do.
it's halfway decent, maybe somebody will listen to it. I don't know.
You might
Um,
inspire. You inspired me. Like shit. You might inspire whoever the hell is listening to this, or just me.
you know,
This could just be a breakthrough for me, and that's what's up. Either way.
that's the biggest thing for me is because I've been at this, like I say, for 35 years.
Yeah.
Um, I have had people come and say, you're the reason I started doing music, or you're the reason why I joined a band, and you're the reason I did this or that or the other thing. And those are the moments I live for.
Yeah.
That's better than the royalty checks off the album, which I think last month bought me a pizza. Um,
Jeez. I mean, shit
it's
though. Pizza's not that bad. I'm kidding.
it's something,
It's something.
Um, rock and roll and music and things like that have taken me places that I would never ever have gotten to go or see otherwise, and have given me experiences that are one of a kind in this world that I would have never gotten any other way. They just can't be had that way. Um, it takes going and being on stage and meeting people in different countries and different cities and things like that. Um, I've been blessed. I've gotten to live not just one but several of my childhood dreams came true, and I feel extremely blessed for that. I will never take that for granted.
Awesome. All right. So since you've traveled, I guess foreign or domestic, where would you revisit or where would you never go again?
Where would I never go again? Um, Rally's Bar and Grill in New Mexico. I can't
Oh
remember
shit,
what
that's
city it was.
specific as hell. What happened there?
Oh, um, we played there, and it was what we call a pickup gig on tour. You have what I consider anchor gigs on tour, and those are your big money gigs. Those are usually your Thursday, Friday, Saturday gigs, whatever they might be, and they're the money gigs, the ones that actually pay you and keep you on the road. But if you're going for a Monday or a Tuesday,
Ooh,
you're going to take any show that you can get. The
yeah,
reason you're going to take any show that you can get is because if you're not playing, you're not making any money at all. You're paying for hotel rooms, you're paying for gas for the tour bus, you're paying for meals for the band and everything. So you're just hemorrhaging money. So you
yeah,
take whatever you can get, even if you're playing for $50 and food at some club in God knows where. Um, you're going to take it because otherwise you're not getting anything. But at least you're getting fed and you're getting $50 to put in the gas tank. So you're going to take it. Well,
yeah.
this was like I think a Monday or Tuesday at a place called Rally's Bar and Grill. Um, God, it was in New Mexico. I can't remember the city. I hate these people, so feel free to look it up on the internet. Google is your friend.
Okay.
Um, anyway, we had worked a deal, and I brought uh, two bands onto our Apocalypse Theater and Harsh Reality. I was playing bass for both, and we played this club, and we'd worked the deal. We were going to play for 20% of the bar tab. So basically, whatever the bar brought in that night, we'd get 20% of it. And it's like, okay, fine, it'll probably be $100 or something like that. Um, and we played. Before we even played, we got there and we're like, are we at the right place? Um, because we had sent these big, like 3 foot tall posters to try to put the word out that we were coming and everything, and try to create some excitement about it so people would come up and wonder what's going on. Like I say, with a visual presentation and everything, put up a large poster that's very evocative. People will be curious and maybe they'll come see the show. Yeah, that's if you're lucky. Um, and we got there and we don't see any posters up. Oh man, this is Rallies. This is the right place. And so I went over there and talked to them. Oh yeah, yeah, we got the posters. They were still in the mailing tube behind the bar with the tape still on the ends. They hadn't even opened it. And like, do you want us to put them up? I'm like, why bother right now? We're gonna go on like in 2 hours. Who are you telling at this
Yeah,
point?
it's already too
So
late now.
they,
Whoever's
they
coming is
literally
coming.
they literally went out front and they had one of those sandwich boards on the sidewalk type thing, and they used a dry erase marker and wrote our names on it. I'm going, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, whatever. And so we order our food, we order our drinks, we get ready in our stage gear and everything, um, and we do the show. And yeah, there must have been 10, 12, maybe 13 of us, um, that were in the bands themselves with the road crew and stuff like that, that were eating and drinking that night and things like that. Um, and then there's a small crowd. Nobody came to see us because they had no idea we were going to be there. So no, we didn't have a single person coming. Oh yeah, I wanted to see you guys. That just wasn't happening. But there were some people that were would be walking by, got curious of the stage show and stuff like that, and came in. And plus the regular customers for the bar and grill. We get done playing and we're packing up and loading out, and they come and give us our paycheck for the night. $20.
Whoa.
$20 for both bands. So $10 per act.
Oh, so y'all both aren't even mad at each other. Y'all were just like, ain't this some bullshit?
And we're like, I want to see the bar receipt because we had a contract. Like, no, we're not showing you the bar receipts. I said, I know that 13 people in my band eating meals and drinking stuff, like we spent more than $200 in your bar. So, where's our money? And they're like, well, we're not showing you the receipt and we're not doing this, the other thing. And my singer, Odie, um, wrote him up a handwritten note and basically told him to go get fucked. Um, and we're finishing loading out, and basically, he wrote it is relatively eloquent yet profane. Um, and we've almost got the bus loaded up. The other band had taken off to go to the hotel because they had a van separate. And we're loading the last gear in. And the manager comes running out with the note. The singer for Apocalypse Theater was standing there with me. Did you guys write this? Did you guys write this? And it hands it to him. And he takes a look at it. And he goes, no, I didn't write this, but we agree with it.
I love it.
And but basically what they didn't know is the next day we were on one of the local radio stations and we gave them plenty of free advertising for how they treated us. So we kind of got even that way.
Hell
And
yeah.
everything in New Mexico, every time we did radio or any interviews, we mentioned them. And I mention them now, and it's like, 7 years later. So
All right.
fuck you guys.
Rallies in New Mexico. Go fuck yourselves still to this day.
Get fucked. All right.
Get fucked to this day. That's cool. So what place would you revisit?
The place that I would revisit that I wish it was still there was CBGB's in New York City. I got
Ooh.
to play there. I think it was 3 times, maybe it was twice. I can't remember. It was with all the pretty horses. And it's the legendary punk rock club in New York City. Blondie played there. The Ramones played there. Basically, Iggy Pop, the who's who of rock and roll played there. When you were
Wow.
standing on that stage, you'd be looking down at the stage, and there'd be like, gouges and stuff. And it's like, I wonder who fell there, or whatever it might be, just because it had so much history. And it was dirty and it was absolutely filthy. There were guitar amps and bass amps on stage, just like caked in like cigarette ash and sweat. So,
Oh, that's
um,
awesome.
but it had that real vibe. The dressing rooms didn't even have doors on them. So they're like people walking up and down the hall, carrying like kegs of beer and stuff like that, just hustling past. And we're trying to get dressed and everything. And I was, yeah, don't mind my tits. It's okay. Um, but it doesn't exist anymore because CBGB's, they had, I think it was a 45-year lease on the spot in New York City, and their lease came up, and they had been there forever, literally. Um, and they wanted over $1 million a year for that space for this little rock and roll club. Um, and it was a small club. I mean, it wasn't like a big LA club or any of the big clubs that you see in the big Midwestern cities that are the sprawls. I mean, this is New York, so space is at a premium. So it was a small
Yeah.
club. Um, but because somebody's going to build a high-rise building or something on that, that's what the value of that square footage is $1 million a year. Well, there's no nightclub that can bring in $1 million a year to pay rent on a space like that. So they were basically ran out, and they don't exist anymore.
Mm, that's sad as hell.
And they'd been around since the early '60s, if I remember right.
Wow. That was a good era in music. That's probably why he directed around then.
See, CBGB stands for Country Blues and Bluegrass.
Oh, I did not
That's
know that.
originally what
The
they were.
more you
Yeah,
know.
back in the hippie era.
So I guess we hit our 30 minute mark, and I don't want to keep you for too long. So two things, I guess. Let the audience and everyone know what you got going on, and then leave everyone with I guess a piece of advice or something that you would want to share with other people that might pick them up or just teach them about life.
Oh boy. If I would have known there was going to be a quiz, I would have studied.
I
How
mean,
about
like,
that? Okay, what I want everybody to know about life, three little words. It's all you need to know about life. Don't give up. That's the key to everything. Just keep going. I've seen people who have given up, and it's really sad. Some of them actually have given up living. And
yeah,
it's a reminder out there that no matter how bad it is or how bad you think it's going to get or anything like that, don't give up. As long as you keep playing, as long as you keep going, moving forward, there's always a chance that you'll win. The only time you ever lose is if you quit. So don't give up. Never quit. What I've got coming up is um, Apocalypse Theater here in Minneapolis on March 4th. I think we're in Minneapolis again at the Hook and Ladder on April, but I don't remember what April because I don't have my calendar in front of me because I didn't prepare for this interview. Like I said, I didn't
I
study.
don't know what day
So
today is, man. Like, is today's a Wednesday, right?
you don't know what day today is? It's Valentine's Day.
Oh my God, I have two girlfriends, and sometimes I forget. I forget my own
Oh,
birthday. No, I
that's
forget
gonna
my
cost you.
birthday, so they let me ride. They're just like, if this idiot forgets his own birthday, what the hell else is he gonna forget? I was lucky to remember this interview. That's why we had to reschedule last time because I fucked up.
Well, you sent me something at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I said, we said PM. And tonight I said Central Time. You're like, yeah,
See,
Central
I got
Time. I'm like
excited
9:30.
and I
Are you
thought it
ready? I'm
was
like,
late and I panicked. I was just like, oh no, I'm late. Wait, I forgot I had an hour.
yeah, that's the other thing I want to leave everybody with. Learn how to tell time. There we go.
Yes, yes. Learn how to. That's the most important thing. That if we learn from any day today, we learn that it's important to tell time.
Well, if you end up thinking of other questions and things like that, I'd always be happy to come
Oh,
on
you'd be
again.
happy to come
Uh,
back. Cool. That's. I was about to ask you that. All right. Thanks.
Maybe
Oh,
I'll even drag a band member with me and we can do a dual interview, and that way we can argue
oh,
about how things happened or something.
that's
So,
fucking awesome. Oh, thank you so much, Tempest. It has been a blessing to have you here. So all of you, who are, on your way home or still at work or, just chillaxing, you have a good night, sweet dreams, or, have a good rest of your night. And I hope your next day is, just as well. This is Mr. J and Tempest, and thank you for coming up late with us on the graveyard shift. I forgot the name of my own podcast. All right,
Graveyard
ladies
shift.
and
All right.
gentlemen.
Cheers.
Good night.